And it's so important because what we're trying to do here is it's not to sell products or services, right?
Yeah.
We want to help brands, services, products, companies to tell stories that move other people or that falls into at least one of those categories where Eivind Landsverk, the director for TV Norge, who said, does this story make me mad, sad, or glad? And do I hate it or do I love it?
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier today, where if it doesn't fall, if a thing or a theme or a story doesn't fall into one of these categories, you will not remember it.
Right.
And in order to, what we believe, in order to make great impact with your brand or your services, or if you want to have massive growth, you need to storytell, and you need to storytell in a way that other people remember you.
Right.
And I remember the reason why our company is called CompEdge. It's short for competitive edge, which I don't think many people know, to be fair. But I remember when I used to work in Gartner. That was when I lived in London. I talked to my area manager, and he gave me this story about the best salesperson globally in Gartner. And I wanted to tap into, so what is it that he's doing that makes him so successful? Why is he always making it to Winner's Circle and to Eagles Club, and why does he have this success?
Right.
And then he retold the story where this salesperson or this key account manager said that when I speak to my clients, I never tell them that I sell either products or services. I tell them that I offer them a competitive edge.
Okay.
And that's what the clients bought from him, not the services that Gartner provided, but they bought the competitive edge that he offered them.
Right.
And I believe that's, again, I think it's a parallel to the story of the significant object story, the experiment, right? Where this perfect, or this the best salesperson in Gartner was best because he didn't sell the products or services. He offered them a competitive edge. That was his story. Now the other account executives, they sold Gartner services, and therefore they were average. And which we talked about earlier today, where stories can be so powerful commercially, where you can buy a product that costs about $1, right? And then if you give that product a story, you can sell it for 10, maybe 100 times more. And that was the experiment with the significant objects project, where a group of writers, I think it was 90 or 100 of them, bought 200 different products on eBay, and they spent about $200. 5 months later, they gave all the products a different story, listed them back on eBay, and they sold for $8,000, right?
Crazy.
And that was just through storytelling.
Right. They bought the story.
Yeah, they bought the story.
Yeah.
Not the stupid horse mask or
right.
or whatever, right? They bought the story.
Whatever crap they didn't really need.
Yeah, and
they bought into the story.
And imagine the buyer of that product. Now, when a person comes to their house or whatever, and they ask, what is this? Now you have a story to tell.
Right. It's interesting about the person, the key account manager.
Yeah.
The phrase competitive edge, I think, is so powerful, and the fact that that's what he was pitching allowed whoever he was talking to imagine themselves with that competitive edge, not with the product, but with the competitive edge and what that would do for them. That's a nice spin on that. Very cool.
And you were talking about process now, so this has been I don't think people really understand how much thoughts and energy and time goes into creating just what some people might look from the outside, a new logo. You've actually spent almost 4 months, like every day, late evenings, researching, sketching, pitching, some great, some not so great ideas. And now we have come up with a plan to actually try and communicate this, which will be imprinted in our DNA as a company. But what are your thoughts in terms of that process, like the countless of hours gone into it?
First, it's a responsibility that I did not take lightly whatsoever. It's a responsibility I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well at, because it's not just a logo, it's not just a color scheme, it's not just a typography, it is the essence of a company. And that essence is what the public is going to either like, not like, bother paying attention to, not bother with at all. You know, it was a daunting task at times, but the more I broke it down and the more I just focused on one thing at a time and brought people into the process with me and collaborated with people, that's when the energy started really allowing me to have fun with it, you know. And so I thank everybody in the office so much for participating with me, because I didn't do this alone, you know. I didn't spend these 4 months with blinders on and doing it all on my own. This was a team effort through and through. And I look back on it and I'm really proud of what we've come up with. I'm really excited to start pushing this narrative to our community members and start, you know, getting them involved in it. I cannot wait to launch and then ask people when they come to the next Open Dog, so like, what do you think of our new identity, or what do you think of the concept of us being storytellers? Like, share this with us, share your opinions with us, and let's see what we can come up with together, you know. And that's part of our story. That give and take with our community members has been a real puzzle piece to who CompEdge is, I think. Don't you as well? Like, you've engaged with your community members a lot. You open the doors every month to people to come in to the office and share your expertise, share your highs and your lows with everyone. That's quite rare, I think.
Absolutely. And it was one of the, again, as we talked about earlier today, one of the articles that I wrote this weekend named Storytelling Always Wins. Have you read the biography of Steve Jobs?
No.
Well, you should.
Pass it to me when you're done.
In that book, he talks a lot about marketing and the finesse around marketing and how he thinks. And a couple of years ago, I watched this clip of him standing in front of his company in 1997, I think. It was back when he came back after he got fired in the mid-80s. And one of the most important things that he did was that he really wanted Apple to build a perfect brand, communicating which clients or which customers they wanted Apple to be for. Kind of like what we say here when du kan ikke være noe for alle, men alt for noen. And one of the things that Steve Jobs said in his speech is that it's a complicated world. It's a really, really noisy world, even back then. And we are not going to get a chance for people to remember much about us. So we need to be really, really clear about what we want them to know about us. And that's something that I try and always think about when we are writing articles or when we are publishing podcasts or when we are producing NRM or whatever it is, like what do we want people to know about us? Because we can't tell them everything.
Right. And they won't remember everything.
No. And also when we're working with clients, like this goes to the brand identity itself.
Yeah.
And so many clients, they just don't get that.
Yeah.
They want to do everything. They want to talk like this, and some of them want to talk like that. And then you have the CEO who has one vision, and then you have the CFO that has this vision, and it's not unified. But in order to be really, really great at storytelling, you need to be, like Steve Jobs said, really clear about what you want people to know about you. Because our brain works perfectly in a way that it just throws away every stupid idea, every nonsense, everything that you don't need to remember because it feels it's not important.
Right.
But anything that the brain thinks is important to you, it will remember. And in many cases, remember forever.
Right. And the key thing there is how do you make it so that what you produce is something that they remember, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot, is whatever we tell them, it needs to be in the narrative of a story. It has to have a plot. It has to have some type of journey, or one of the 7 stories from Rob Schwartz. And the more that we can produce things in a storytelling manner, the more memorable it's going to be. They say that you're 22 times more likely to remember something when it's told in a narrative rather than facts alone. So, you know, whatever we want to communicate can change. The narrative will change, right? Whatever we're trying to communicate will change. But the underlining thing, the red line that brings it all together, needs to be that it's told in a story.
Yeah, the patterns.
Right. Right. What are the patterns? Yeah, exactly. And storytelling is natural for us as humans, right? When you hear someone say, okay, I have a story to tell you, you know, you have chemicals reacting inside of your brain that make it so that your body leans forward. You make eye contact, you're more engaged, you're ready to listen, to retain this information that they're about to tell you. And it dates back, what, 300,000 years, you know? So it's something that's natural for us. So why would we not use it in business? Why would we not use it to communicate in every aspect of our lives, you know? Not just with our mom and dad or our significant others. Like, let's use it in our communities and in our business as well.